Hi friends, and welcome back to the Baseball Card Illustrated channel. I'm Bronko, the PSA 11, and I'm going to be joined by a whole bunch of great friends from the hobby, including Kevin the Diamond King, Matt Bowler, Doug from Don't Talk to Robots, and more. But this is a whole bunch of great tips for the National or any other big card show you might attend. Now, I'm going to give you the first tip, and then we'll get to some from others. And my first tip is this. A lot of people will tell you, go to the show with a big plan. Cards you want to chase, things like that. I'm going to tell you the opposite. If you go looking for one or two specific cards, you're either going to feel compelled to pay way too much for something or reach for something that maybe you don't want or be disappointed. On the other hand, if you go without a real plan, you might end up with something like this. I got this at the 2021 National, didn't really have any plan, and I found this card right here. This is a 1971 Sparky Anderson. I always kind of liked him. And I just went around to some bargain bins and found the rest of these for a quarter a piece. I got a really nice jump on my collection of the great Sparky Anderson. Now that you have the first tip, let's go out and get a whole bunch of other great tips that will help you whether you're going to Chicago, Atlantic City, Cleveland, Dallas, or somewhere close to you. We got Beau here from 1 Million Cubs. He does Hobby Evolution every morning on his YouTube channel, and now a special bonus tip for the National or any other large card show.
So a lot of people will say walk the floor and get a general sense of what different cards, you might get another price at another table, but the National, a big show like that, is a little different because you may see something that you don't see at many other tables. So if you see something you really want and it's a price you're willing to spend, buy it right now, because the chances are with so much competition with other customers, it might not be there. So you don't necessarily want to just take a lap and then buy a card. If you see something at a price you want, buy it right now.
And speaking of the National, anything special going on there for you, maybe on, say, a Saturday night?
Absolutely. I'm glad you brought that up. So we're going to do a Hobby Evolution get-together at Shoeless Joe's, which is a restaurant slash bar about a mile from the, maybe less than a mile from the Donald Stevens Convention Center. We're going to do that Saturday night right after the show. It's going to be casual. Just show up if you want to, and we're just going to nerd out on cards.
Excellent. We'll see you there.
So we've been talking about tips, baseball card show tips for those that are going. Obviously, it's a big time of year for card shows. A huge level of shows coming up. And so one of the tips I want to pass along, a few years of experience of going to shows, you don't have to chase the fad. Trust me, it is fun to chase the fad. You are going to want to get all over some Ellie De La Cruz cards at this moment. But the truth is, you're going to end up paying a lot of money for those cards. Maybe more than they would be worth a little bit down the road. Even if he's a good player, they may not hang on to the value that they have right now. So go after what you like necessarily, not necessarily what the fad is, and I think that'll help a little bit.
Hey, Bronco and Baseball Card Illustrated. This is Doug from Don't Talk to Robots. My tip for going to the National is going to be stolen from my brother, who stole it from Eddie at Eddie's Cardboard Chaos. My brother being Andy from Flying Dutchman Cards. I guess it's not really stealing, but I'm just trying to give proper credit. But anyway, to my tip. If you're at a table and you find a card that you really like, take a picture of the table, find out what booth it is from the person, be like, what booth number is this? In your notes or on your photo, in your smartphone, write the booth number on that photo. That way, later on in the show, when you're like, oh yeah, I really want to go get that Darryl Strawberry, where was it? And you pull up your phone and be like, oh, I remember it was at booth 18. Darryl Strawberry's number. And so you go there and the card is still there and you achieve what you hope to achieve at the National. So there's my tip. There's a lot of booths. It's really easy to be like, man, I really liked something at that table. I forgot what it was. I forgot where table it is. So try to keep track of it that way. I think that'll help you on your National endeavors. Finding cards, hunting for cards. Thank you, Bronco. Looking forward to hanging out with you this week. And to everybody watching, happy National Week. And don't forget to rock and roll.
Bring some of your own supplies. They will have them there, but typically they're a little bit more than you're going to want to pay. Have a backpack, throw them in there, and that way you have them no matter what you need. You got top loaders, maybe bring a box or two. You can't go wrong with that. We're at the Madison Card Show with East Coast Tom, who has a great tip to share with us. What do you got?
All right, I've been a veteran of going to Nationals over the years. I don't know how many, but lots of them, mostly in the East Coast. you're going to see a ton of crowds, and they're going to be crowding around the front tables. So as soon as you go straight to the back of the hall and start back there and work your way. And if you're going to be doing the show for a couple days, make sure you do it in quadrants. So make sure you cover all the area in one area before you go to the next quadrant, and then work your way to the front. And as the show goes during the day, towards the end of the day, you can start like hitting some of the tables near the front on your way out. So easily, it depends on what you're looking for. If you're looking for modern cards, you can very easily see who's the vintage dealers and bypass them. Vice versa, if you're a vintage collector, you bypass all the modern stuff like I do. So just have fun, relax, remember to take some water, some snacks with you, because you're going to be on your comfortable shoes, you're going to be on your feet all day. That's probably about it. So just have fun and spend money.
1988 Donruss wax packs are much thinner than other packs because the cards are much thinner. No, that's a joke. That's a joke. No, the tip is be sure you go in with at least a top 2 or 3 or 4 of what your wish list is going to be, because the thing about card shows that's great and also bad is there's a lot of flashy lights, right? There's a lot of things you'll see and you'll want to spend your money on, and you want to make sure you get from one end of the show to the other before you seal any kind of deal. So go in knowing what you're going to be finding, look around a little bit, and then you can make your decision.
Okay, speaking of which, which would be, speaking of Donruss, what would be your Diamond King, the number one thing you would be on the lookout for?
Right now, I've been, if you're talking about personally in my collection, I've been thinking about expanding back in the other direction. I have complete sets from 69 to 95, and I stopped after the strike. I've been thinking about trying to find maybe an El Cheapo way to get some of those late 90s sets and start working forward, but man, 1995 is a long time ago.
Probably not much competition for that 96 top set, though.
You'll have things like a Derek Jeter 4th year card. Woo! Yeah, it'll be. I have a feeling that project's going to be a lot less expensive than trying to complete the 62s, which is what I finally did. Like, what was that? A little more than a year ago. And man, when I was done with the 62s, that was like crossing the finish line of a marathon, dude. I passed out. I was like, I can't do this anymore. But now I'm ready to again.
Hey, this is Matt Buller with some tips for the National if you plan to spend a lot of time at the TriStar Autograph Pavilion, or maybe just a little bit of time. I spent more time at that pavilion in 2016 and 2018 than I did the rest of the show floor. So I have some good thoughts for you. Obviously, wear comfortable shoes, but here's a good one. Be patient, especially with VIP guests. I had the Platinum Express Pass, which got me through right away. But if you just have a plain VIP ticket, keep in mind that Platinum Express people are going to go ahead of you. Line Priority Pass people are going to go ahead of you. All Access Super VIPs will go ahead of you. All Access VIPs will go ahead of you. So there's hundreds of people right there. Numbered tickets for that VIP guest will go ahead of you. And then finally, you'll get the VIP guests. So keep that in mind. Sharpies, pens, all that good stuff. They're really good about having a blue Sharpie for photos and a Statler here for trading cards. That's no big deal, but I would still recommend if you're getting a baseball sign to take your own blue pen. And if it's a paint pen or some kind, bring your own so you'll have it all prepped up, ready to go. If you have an unusual inscription that's not so standard, such as a Hall of Fame inscription, like whenever I met Jerome Bettis, this was in 2018, there was a Super Bowl 40, which was his last bus stop. So at the last bus stop, that was really worked out. He was very into it. So if it's kind of unusual, don't hesitate to write on a card and put it on the table in front of them. And also, don't be shy to ask for a selfie. Most of the time, they'll say yes. That was great. That's a great moment to have right there. Me and Joe Green said, give that camera to somebody else and get a picture with me. And that was great. Rod Carew and Bob Gibson said no to the selfie, but usually they'll say yes, and you end up with some really good memories. Take care, everybody.
I'm here at the Madison Card Show, and one of the nice things here is there's carpeting everywhere. At the National and some of the bigger shows, they're not going to have carpeting, so your feet are going to get sore, especially if you're walking around for 6-7 hours a day, maybe for several days. So comfortable shoes, new socks. You're definitely going to want to do that. It's not a fashion show, but you definitely will pay for it if you're not comfortable. Here's Tony from Fat Daddy's Card Show. He runs the show here in Oak Creek. What's your tip for the National or any other card show?
Well, the National is huge, so you want to wear some comfortable shoes. Bring a bag or a backpack, but beware that there are thieves in the National. So I would recommend you wear your backpack in front on your belly instead of your back, because someone can reach right in there on your back.
And you may not have your binders out at the National, but this is kind of a small sample of what you'll have to offer.
Right, I have vintage, and I'm bringing out display cases. I'll have vintage stars going back to T206, tobacco cards, up through the 70s, baseball, and I'll bring football, basketball, and hockey as well, but I don't think I'll have enough space to bring it out. But if you want to ask me for it, I'll have it.
I'm back in the Baseball Card Illustrated bunker, but don't worry, I'm fine. Anyway, we got one more tip coming up from our good friend Tony, who's going to give you a great dining suggestion. He's from the area and recommended a place that's not only delicious, but won't be as crowded as the convention center is going to be during the course of this coming week. Anyway, of course, if you're going to any show, have a good time. Remember, everyone's there to enjoy a hobby. You got a lot of similar interests, cards, players, teams, so don't be afraid to go meet some people, see some friends. I'm looking forward to that for sure. That's going to be a big part of this. Anyway, don't forget, if you're new to the channel, thanks for joining us. And if you're going to be at the show, don't be afraid to come up and say hi and give me all your Rob Deere cards. I'd appreciate that. And I'd also appreciate it if you hit the like button, leave a comment with some of your tips. And if you're new again, go ahead, hit that subscribe button. We'd love to have you join the team. On behalf of Kevin the Diamond King, with a great lineup that consists of Beau, Tony, Don't Talk to Robots, our buddy Doug, East Coast Tom, and of course the great Math Bowler with a lot of great autograph tips. I'm Bronko, the PSA 11, throwing it out to Tony at the Fat Daddy's Card Show, talking about some din-din.
One more tip. Don't eat the food there. It's terrible.
And
Eat
pricey.
Elsewhere. It's pricey. Yeah, eat anywhere else but there.
Okay, we're going to give you a bonus tip from Tony because you're sort of from the area. What's a good restaurant nearby that you might recommend?
Johnny's Beef in Elmwood Park. It's not far, and it's the best Chicago-style Italian beef sandwiches you can get anywhere.